Work it. Strike a pose. Oh yeah, that's the money shot. Introducing the Fashion Dog, brought to you by Dog Breeding. This custom-made canine is tailored to all your size, color, and furry preferences. The ultimate accessory just waiting to go viral. You'd never even know this friendly face originated from a wolf. The only catch? Customization can come at a cost. Our fixation with designing dogs is causing health problems, deformities, and behavioral issues for our furry friends. How did we go from this to this? Have people ruined dogs? Hi, I'm Danielle Dufault, and you're watching Animalogic. With more than 400 recognized breeds worldwide, the domesticated dog is the most physically diverse animal species on Earth. Scientifically known as the Canis lupus familiaris, aka the familiar dog wolf, these pups come in all shapes and sizes. An average Chihuahua weighs just about 2 kilograms, and the English Mastiff tips the scale at over 40 Chihuahuas, or 85 kilograms. In any other family, this difference would make it obvious that they're not the same species. But in the dog world, they're still so closely related that they could still mate and make perfectly healthy and fertile puppies. Let's just hope that if they do mate, the Mastiff is the mom. Just imagine if that same size variation occurred in humans. Even other animals that look more alike than some dogs are classified as different species, like crocodiles and alligators, jaguars and leopards, and crows and ravens. So how is it possible that dogs are part of a group? The answer is an ability to interbreed in nature and create viable offspring, the definition of what makes something a species. Even though Chihuahuas and St. Bernards look very different, their genomes are very similar because they have a very recent common ancestor, unlike that alligator and crocodile whose lineage is split over 80 million years ago. Sorry guys, but we won't be seeing any crocodigator babies anytime soon. But we did get the sturtlefish, a hybrid between a paddlefish and a Russian sturgeon, and they're separated by 184 million years. So I'm saying there's a chance. This ability to mate has led to a fascinating history of dog breeding, one us humans have had a heavy hand in. But first, let's rewind a bit. While details are a little hairy, we know for sure that dogs are domesticated wolves and the result of a kinship with humans. This ancient relationship between people and descendants of the great wolf may go back as far as 100,000 years. We don't know for sure why this happened, but we do have two solid theories. The first, known as the human adoption theory, says humans were actively domesticating wolf pups by capturing them from dens and raising them for protection, hunting, and a better chance at survival. These wolves were bred to be docile and loyal, making them very different than their wild counterparts. A second explanation says wolves domesticated themselves by hanging around human camps, scavenging for food. These chow-downs eventually led to friendly wolves surviving better, and passing down a gene that made them less aggressive around people. One of the main traits we select for is protectiveness. Dogs can keep us safe at our homes or when we're outside, but they can't protect us from the dangers of the internet. That's why we're partnering with Incogni, the sponsor of today's episode. Have you ever Googled your name? Try it and you'll see your data show up in a lot of places you don't want it to be. If the data falls into the wrong hands, it could be used for identity theft or scams. Or it might just hijack your entire YouTube channel. Don't ask. Thankfully, Incogni does the legwork of browsing through hundreds of data brokers' websites and removing your data from it. Your personal information might continue to pop up on these sites, so Incogni does constant checks on these malicious websites. It's not a one-time thing, it's around-the-clock protection. And if you find your data somewhere it shouldn't be, Incogni has a feature called Custom Removals, where you can submit a link and they'll remove the data for you. They can't remove it from government sites or social media, but they'll make sure it's not in any data brokerage pages. You can even see all the sites where Incogni has protected you in the dashboard. So be always on watch and protect yourself from unseen dangers. Go to incogni.com/animalogic or scan the QR code and use the promo code Animalogic to get 60% off the annual plan. Now back to our best buddies, the dogs. Regardless of how breeding started, eventually a strong bond was formed, and voila, the pet dog was born. Signs of this emotional connection between humans and dogs dates back at least 14,000 years. These are the skeletal remains of the Bon Abercastle dog. This Paleolithic pup was found buried beside a man and woman inside a grave in Germany. It's the oldest known evidence of humans and dogs being buried together, suggesting a deep affection. This is a clue as to where and when the switch from wild wolves to domestic dogs happened. It's a question that still remains a mystery, but here are other clues. There's a preserved pup named Dogor, found in Siberian permafrost some 18,000 years ago. But DNA analysis couldn't determine if it was a wolf, a dog, or something in between. And from the same era, we have a canid bone from Erala caves of the Basque country, which was proven to not belong to a wolf, suggesting it was from a dog. Dogs today still share 99.9% of their DNA with wolves and are considered a subspecies of the gray wolf. So you might be wondering, why do they look so different? Well, because we designed them that way. By playing with this very small number of genes that control variation in dogs, we can play with their size, shape, temperament, athletic performance, coat color, coat length, coat texture. Just choose the right parents and it's off to the doggy races. Through this process, we've tailored our dogs to do specific jobs to benefit us since ancient times. The Chukchi people bred Siberian Huskies to be strong sled dogs. Romans adapted Mastiffs to act as feisty guards. And Chinese emperors created the very finest pug companions. Even this guy served a purpose, and surprisingly, it wasn't as a mop. This Hungarian Puli was specifically bred for its intelligence and agility as a sheep-herding dog. Their unique corded coats protected them in harsh winters and kept them cool in summers. These dogs were so valuable, shepherds in Hungary would sometimes pay a year's salary to get their hands on their prized pups. With these features, it's easy to see why dogs have been described as Swiss Army knives. They've played invaluable roles as companions, workers, and protectors, helping shape the course of history. But the biggest change in dog breeding started with the Queen. Queen Victoria, that is. During her reign, a pivotal change in dog breeding took place, where dogs went from work animals to luxury items. And her dog collecting had a lot to do with it. This royal loved dogs, and reportedly had over 600 of them of 32 different breeds. This was the Victorian era, the golden age of Britain's influence on the world stage, including dog mom culture. And just like their own outfits, Victorians became obsessed with tailoring dogs to specific colors, coats, and looks. Please, sir, I would like a true English pug. Make sure it is of fawn color, devoid of any smut approaching blackness, and has a coat that is sleek, shining, and soft to touch. This was the dog Victorian explosion, and we have this mating craze to thank for many of the dog breeds we've come to know and love today. But it also meant that dogs became victims of our beauty standards. Some species were bred to have shorter legs, stockier builds, and altered skull shapes. Compare a 1905 Bull Terrier to one today, and it's easy to see the difference. And while this iconic look has made the Bull Terrier a cultural heavyweight, selective breeding has also brought about health problems. One of the major causes of this is inbreeding, which makes sure that certain desired genes are passed on, but also increases the chances that harmful recessive genes are also passed on. In other words, in a healthy population, a dog can have a harmful gene and never even know it. Not that dogs know a lot about genes, but as you breed closely related dogs with the same harmful genes, the likelihood of those genes becoming a problem increases a lot. You would think that the British royalty would have learned something from the Habsburgs. Many dog breeds suffer similar problems. In one study, close to 70% of screened pugs had at least one health disorder. Bred for exaggerated, cute features like flat faces and large eyes, these pooches can suffer from breathing problems caused by shorter snouts. Pugs, along with other trendy dogs like bulldogs, boxers, and shih tzus, are part of a group called brachycephalic breeds. This term stems from Greek roots and translates to short head. Aww, but who couldn't love this guy? These large eyes, round faces, and chubby cheeks trigger a nurturing response in us called the baby schema effect, and we get a dopamine hit just looking at them. And there you have it, the popularity problem with dogs. We fall in love with their adorable faces, demand for their breed grows, and in a rush to create more of them, irresponsible breeders produce puppies without the right health checks. Two examples of this doggy mania turning dogs into hot commodities were after the release of Disney's 101 Dalmatians in 1961 and its live-action remake in 1996. Earlier Dalmatians were bred to accompany horse carriages. They would bark to clear roads and keep other dogs away. At the time, they were darker and looked less refined. But the movies made people want white Dalmatians with symmetrical spots. And unfortunately, the genes that create those spots are also linked to hearing loss. This makes Dalmatians very prone to deafness. We see breeding problems in places like puppy mills and backyard breeders, who may not know or care how to breed with health in mind. Both can put profit over animal well-being, leading to dirty conditions, overcrowded spaces, and bad genetic matches. This causes a range of problems for dogs, and sometimes snowballs into owners ready to return them. Remember the Dalmatian craze? It also caused a rise in shelter intakes for the breed once the movie hype wore off. There are multiple known examples across different breeds. German Shepherds have hip and elbow issues because of people's preference for a sloped back. Labrador Retrievers have joint problems because their popularity exploded very suddenly, and the use of just a few champion sires made them a very inbred breed. Cavalier King Spaniels are also very inbred, and many have heart issues. 50% of them develop a heart murmur by age 5. Similarly, Dobermans are prone to have a disease that affects the muscles of their hearts. This can lead to heart failure. About 50% of Dobermans will develop this disease during their lifetime. Collies and related breeds are prone to epilepsy and eye problems. Cocker Spaniels are also at risk of vision loss. Bernese dogs and Golden Retrievers have a very high incidence of cancer. About 60% of Golden Retrievers die of this disease. But there is good news. With growing awareness of these issues, countries around the globe are taking action to better regulate poor breeding practices. The UK, Canada, Denmark, the USA, and Australia are just a few of the countries taking action to pass new laws and regulations to stop bad breeding practices. And innovative programs from vets and responsible breeders are being developed to restore the health of our beloved companions. They shift the focus to genes that enhance a dog's vitality from the inside, rather than just their appearance. Meet the Retro Pug. An internet sensation, this dog's brand is all about improving quality of life. Part of a movement to bring back a stronger pug with a longer snout, this little guy benefits from hybrid vigor, with 50% of his genes coming from a Jack Russell Terrier. This pairing expands the Retro Pug's gene pool, reducing the likelihood of inherited diseases from inbred pugs. Looks a bit familiar. This approach could also shed new light on selective breeding in other species that had problematic effects, like breeding cats for white fur and blue eyes, which is linked to deafness, creating sheep with coats so woolly they can't survive without humans shearing them, and designing stocky horses that now ache with joint issues. Breeding is not an exact science, but understanding the trade-offs we make is half the battle. Dogs have helped human health in more ways than we can imagine. Therapy dogs, seeing eye dogs, diabetic service dogs, even bomb-sniffing dogs. And let's not forget our canine best friends. The least we can do is give back by focusing on their well-being. So, what can you do? If you're thinking about getting a dog and you're dead set on a particular breed, please learn as much as you can about it. Take time to meet with breeders to ensure that they're reputable and ask about their medical history so you know what to expect. Or even better, forget about designer dogs and consider adopting a mutt. It might not be as fancy, but it might be healthier and equally deserving of a loving home. Most of all, be ready to love your dog unconditionally. After thousands of years of human-dog partnership, it's a relationship well worth preserving. And now that we know about dogs, check out our episode about how cats domesticated us. So, what should we talk about next? Please let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for new episodes every week. Thanks for watching, and see you next time!